Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing tonight? I am leaving the gas station. I just went and got gas. Putting my receipt in my wallet. I also got a bottle of water. I really like this Body Armor water. Electrolyte Sports Formula. pH 8+. It really tastes good. And then here is my new lip balm that I got from Ulta. It's this Hemp's minted sugar and spiced nutmeg holiday. Does it say holiday lip balm? Like, you guys, literally. I mean, it is so bad. Here, look at my reading glasses with one thing. I've become both of my parents. Herbal lip balm. Oh my god. What is this? This is some note that I have over here from months ago that I don't even know why I have on here. The date is on here and I think it says one something. Is it like from January? September. It says September. Oh, I think those are hair appointments. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I got this the other day. It's really nice. It's like apple cider. So anyway, it is like misting, snowing outside. Needless to say, wait, turn it down. Needless to say, winter, I think, has arrived in Indiana. It says 43 degrees, but it feels a lot colder than that. And it is 1:51 a.m. And I just got up a little bit ago. I fell asleep tonight. Gosh, I don't even know what time I fell asleep. It was early. I was so tired tonight. I listened to a lot of the Iceman Confessions today. I'm trying to finish it so that I can listen to something else in November. Actually, tomorrow, I think, on my BookTube channel, I'm going to do my November TBR, my to be read, like the things I want to read in November. I think I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that, and then I want to definitely get it done by this weekend, and then I want to start listening to this John Grisham book. I think it's called The Guardians. The Guardian or The Guardians. I just got it. It just came out on Audible. And then I want to listen to that while I'm on vacation. Like before and after. And then I think I want to listen to Maggie Stiefvater, The Raven Boys, because I was going to listen to that during the Halloween season, but I'm not letting another year go by without listening to that. I want to at least listen to book 1, because I think there's 3 books in the series. If I like it, I will continue to listen to it, and maybe boom, 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 finish the series. Each book is not that long. They're each like 8 hours on Audible. And then I'm going to listen to Dope Sick, which is, I think I'm going to like physically read the copy of Supermarket. I think I'm going to take that with me to Miami, which is by the singer Logic. It's supposed to be really, really good. I've heard great things about it. And I started it for Spookathon, and that was like one of the books. Did I have that on my Spookathon TBR? I don't think I had that on my Spookathon. But I started reading that earlier in October, and that was one of the books that I did not finish. And then I also need to do a review of Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. And then I'm gonna read Dope Sick, which is our True Crime Book Club of the Month book, because I want to get that done ahead of time. And then I think around Thanksgiving week, I'm gonna listen to the Harry Potter book, the next one, which is Order of the Phoenix, I think. Because those are kind of like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like they're kind of like wintry books, so I don't have a slide on. I don't know if it really matters, does it? So I think I'm going to listen to that, and then if I like can keep those up, go right into December listening to those. I would really, just to get like the Harry Potter books done, I think I would really like to just do that. That's a lot of books. The thing is that by the time that I'm done with one, it's like I want to listen to something else because I've dedicated so much time and energy to it, you know? But I really want to get those done by the end of the year. I need to go through my Audible and my physical books that I have out and look at what books I really want to get done by the end of the year, because there's quite a few. But needless to say, I do believe that I will have passed what I read last year, the amount of books I read last year. I think I'm already almost past it. And then I'll be between last year and the year before. The year before that I read 62. My goal is always 100. That's not going to happen this year. That's my like Goodreads challenge. So on Goodreads, which if you don't know what Goodreads is an app. It's like Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Not really. It's an app for people that like to read books, and it's all about books. It's one of my favorite apps because it's just updates about what you're reading. It doesn't really get a whole lot deeper than that. You can look up any book on there. You can make bookshelves of books you want to read, books you've read, things like you can rate books on there. I love it. And if you friend me on Goodreads, I accept everybody's friends over there. I actually haven't gone in there in a couple days, so I don't go in there like every day. But it's also where I find a lot of the books that I want to read. So, but I need to kind of go through there and see like what are some things that I really want to get done before the end of the year. And then I need to start picking some holiday books for this year too. Because usually around the holidays, I really like to listen to holiday books. You know what maybe I'll do? What is today? The 5th? 5th, 6th, 7th. I was going to say, I was going to maybe listen to that Let It Snow. Because that wouldn't take me too long to read. If I have any credits left, I think maybe I'll do that. By John Green and Lauren Miracle and Maureen Johnson. And then listen to that. And then the movie comes out on the 8th, because I really want to finish that. And then what is the 8th? So the 5th is Tuesday, 6th Wednesday, 7th is Thursday. Then I could watch that maybe on the way back from Miami. Because I'm not going to want to watch it on the way to Miami. You know what I mean? You want to kind of watch I don't really want to watch a holiday movie when I'm getting ready to go to be on the beach. So maybe I'll watch that on my way back. And then I could do a review of the book and movie. That would be kind of a fun video to do for my BookTube channel. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. Well, I'll have to see how long. I'm like thinking to myself how long the book is. I think the book is around 300 pages. I think I have like 2 copies of the book. But I also think I have a bunch of credits on my Audible, so that's not that big of a deal to buy that as a credit. Oh, it feels weird that it's the holiday. You know, I will say that like, because I'm reviewing on my review channel all of these advent calendars, and it's kind of really gotten me in the mood for the holidays. And today I went into Sephora. You know, like, this is where I can tell that, like, I've changed a lot. Like, because I don't let the same things bother me that would have bothered me, you know, a year or 2 ago. Or at least I don't complain as much about them. But, you know, it's interesting to me because, like, they have this whole process of how they do things at Sephora now. And so, like, when I was checking out, the girl there, she was like, are you using card or cash? And I was like, a card. And she was like, okay, well, I'm going to have so-and-so check you. I mean, like, literally, every register was open, right? And I was standing at the register. And she was helping me at the register. And she said, well, I'm going to have so-and-so help you in the back of the store. And I go, okay. So, I didn't question it, you know. So she walks me to the back of the store. She interrupts what this woman is doing, who has, like, this, you know, like, scanner thing in her arm. So the woman's like typing in. I felt bad for this woman. It so reminded me of my mom when my mom worked retail, because she was like a little bit older, and she just, I could tell, like she just was like struggling on this like computer thing like my mom did back in the day. Like my mom just didn't, you know, she was like, anyway, I just felt bad for this woman. You could tell that this was not why she started, you know, it was not her idea to work on this thing. Anyway, and she was so sweet. And so she's like, now do you have like Sephora points with us? And I always forget, like if it's my phone number or whatever, you know? And I was like, yeah. And so like I gave her my phone number, and she like had a hard time like typing it in. It wasn't like taking it, the computer thing wasn't working. And I'm like standing there and I'm watching people at the register like come through the register, right? And I'm whatever, you know, and then she's like, okay, well, it didn't pull up your number. And I go, well, it has to be my email then, because I know I have, you know, whatever Sephora thing. So she types in my email, and she's like, oh, she's like, you do exist. And so she's like scanning this thing, and she's like trying to hold this box while, you know, like she's standing there like in an aisle. It's like, you can tell it's like so uncomfortable for her, right? And so, I mean, and literally she had been doing something else. She was like stocking stuff. And so she like scans this box, and it like won't take it, and then she's like trying to open this like plastic part to get through. This has now been like over 5 minutes, going on 10 minutes that I've been there, and I've been watching the people come through the register, right? Which could have been me, and I could have been out of the store by now. And my dad, he would have had a fit. I mean, like my dad, this is the kind of stuff that my dad literally would have just put the box down and been like, I'm good, don't worry about it, I'll get it somewhere else. He just cannot stand stuff like this. And so she scans all this stuff and whatever, and then this other woman that like was the one that brought me over, she comes over to her and she brings a bag to the back of the store, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting to me that they're bringing like me to the back of the store, but they're letting these other people go through. And not everybody that was going through was using cash, because I was watching. So I'm like, this is interesting. And so she's helping me with it and whatever. And then what did she have to take me to? Oh, she had to take me to the counter to get something, but I can't remember what it was for. So then she walks me to the register. After she put the thing in the bag, she walks me to the register, and then she walks around, hands me my bag, and says, thank you. And I said, this seems like a really difficult process. And she was like, yeah, I don't like it at all. And she was like, but you know, like the powers that be, like this is what they're telling us that we have to do now. And I said, really? I said, why? And she goes, it's supposed to prevent loss prevention. And I said, well, everybody else was at the register, like I'm confused, you know? And she just kind of looked at me, and I was like, like I didn't think much about it, right? And so like, and I literally walked in, and like the girl that helped me, like I've seen her in there before, she knows who I am, because I have like a friend of mine that works in Sephora, and she knows, you know, this guy. And so she was like, she knew me when I walked in. I was like, do you have the Sephora like admin counter? She's like, oh yeah, they're right over there and whatever. Which is interesting to me too, because like at Ulta, like they literally walk me over and they're like, oh, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Have you looked at this? I mean, these are people that like have no clue whatsoever that I would ever be doing a video in my, like they have no clue, and they still are like, oh, you should look at this. Oh, you should look at that. Have you seen these candles that are, you know, 50% off? And then they walk me to the register. They walk me to lot, you know, and this whole thing of like customer service, like in our world today, is just crazy to me. I think it really very much is just like how you like treat somebody, but the thing is it's all about how they're trained to do it. And so I was talking to my friend today, and I said, yeah, that whole process alone of checking out, like I would go to Ulta over Sephora any day, because that's like a mess. And he was like, yeah, none of us like it. He was like, I'm really sorry that you had a bad experience. I was like, well, it wasn't your fault. I said, it wasn't her fault. I felt bad for the woman. Like, it made it 10 times more difficult for her, not to mention it took her away from what she was doing. And, you know, he was like, yeah, it's supposed to, what did I do to this bottle? I broke this bottle or something. And he was like, it's supposed to limit, like, loss prevention, you know, when certain people come in the stores and whatever. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. So like, did they think that I was gonna steal something from the store, and that's why, like, I got picked out of this group? Is it random? Is it whatever, you know? It is what it is, but I just, like, you know, for me, I don't know, I just thought the whole process was bad. I felt so bad for this woman. Because you get somebody that, like, you're told you have to do something, you know, by your higher ups, and then you get somebody, like, I'm telling you, because if it was anybody else on a bad day, they would have been pissed. I mean, the whole process took like 10 minutes, and you're standing there in the middle of an aisle. I mean, literally, like, while she was typing things in, I'm like looking at other stuff, and I mean, the whole thing was just like this ordeal. And then I went to Saks, and of course, like, I'm dressed like this, right? So I never, like, when I go into these, like, high-end stores, I never, well, I mean, you know, Sephora's not really high-end, but it's nice for store, you know? Nobody ever comes up to me and is like, can I help you with anything? Nobody ever, right? Ever. And so I'm, like, standing in Saks today, and I really wanted to buy this Jo Malone cologne. It's, like, oud and bergamot, and I sat there forever. And I, like, walked around, and, like, so I finally started walking up to this counter, where this, like, girl was working, and she, like, literally turned and looked at me, and she started walking away. I was like walking up to the counter to ask for help. She literally turned and looked at me and, like, walked away. And so I went over there, and I stood again, like, in the section where the Jo Malone cologne was, and I probably stood there for, I don't know, another 10 or 15 minutes, like, looking at bottles, and not one person came over. Every person was standing at their, like, counters, and I just was like, I'm done. Like, I have had it today. It's just interesting to me, you know, when it's kind of why I do go to, like, the same places over and over and over again. Like, when I go somewhere and I get, like, amazing customer service, because I really am somebody that, whether it's a gas station, a Starbucks, a Dollar Tree, a whatever, when I go in somewhere and it's, you know, when somebody's just nice or they remember you or whatever, you know, it's like, it really does make a difference. Like, with restaurants even and stuff, you know, it's like, I think, like, I mean, obviously we go to the same place for brunch every Sunday. You know, one of the things that we love is that when we go in there, we know like the servers, and they're so friendly to us, and they stand there and they talk, and you know, the thing is about, like, Cafe Patachu is, like, a good example of this. They have a lot of regulars. Like, they have a lot of regulars. Tons of, I mean, it's a local restaurant, right? The woman that owns Cafe Patachu, she owns, like, tons of restaurants in Indianapolis. And it's kind of like a locally, like, run, you know, like, deal. And so a lot of the regulars that come in there, like, know the servers. They've known, I mean, some of the servers that work in there have worked in there for, like, 10 years. And, I don't know, I just think it makes a lot of difference. And, you know, for me, it's kind of sad, like, when I go into Sephora, and I've had really great experiences in there before, and then they have people that, like, how did she say it? I can't remember how she said it. She said the higher ups, I think is what she said, like, passed this down and told us that this is how we have to do it. And my friend said that. He was like, yeah, they told us that that's how we have to do things now to prevent loss prevention. And I just think, you know, like, it's interesting, like, you're not the ones in the store, and these poor people are the ones that have to, like, do this, you know, like, and then they're going to be the ones that are going to have people get upset with them. I don't know. I'm telling you right now, though, that process isn't going to work for the holiday season. It's going to slow things down so bad in the holiday season. I think it's kind of weird, too, to ask, like, are you using cash or card? How many people really use cash anymore? I rarely see anybody use cash. Tanya always uses cash. That's all she uses, but, well, I mean, not always, but most of the time Tanya uses cash. But I think it's interesting that, I don't know. I think, you know, most people, I was talking about this on my Peterisms video today, which I forgot to post, because it sat there while I was eating dinner, and with Alex, we were watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Ooh, this season is going to be good on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. apparently, like, all their marriages fail. It's kind of sad. They don't fail, but they just, like, you can tell, like, all their marriages are affected this season. I, like, chipped something off in the opening of this water bottle. I hope I didn't chip it off into the water. But anyway, no, it wouldn't have gotten in there. What was I gonna say? Oh shoot, I can't remember what I was talking about now. Something to do with my Peterisms video. I don't know. But that was my day. And I got up. What else did I do today? I got up and I went back to bed for a little bit after I got home from doing my vlog last night and slept for a couple more hours with the dogs. They were so sweet this morning. And then I got up. I can't remember what I did. I went and got coffee. And then I went to the mall. I saw a friend of mine in the mall. Oh, I went into Anthropologie first. That store is hard for me to go into, Anthropologie. I love that store. I mean, I literally could just drop a couple $100, like, right when I walk in there. I literally walked around and I was like, okay, you need to get out of here. Like, you need to get out of here. Oh my God, my battery is flashing. Well, I hope it lasts till whenever the next exit is, since I just missed the last exit. But I was like, you need to get out of here. There are way too many candles that you like. Oh, that was something else that I did. So, like, I have so many candles that are, like, half used. Do you guys do that? Like, so I move candles around a lot, and I have so many candles that are half used. I mean, we probably have, I'm not even lying, 50 or 100 candles. So I went through all of the half-used candles and the ones that I know that we're not going to use anymore. And I got rid of them. We have all of our candles in this thing up above this little sink in our living room. This little bar sink. So I put all the new candles in there that we'll use. So anyway, yeah, did that. Then I went into the mall, walked through Saks Fifth Avenue. That is a store, like, I love Saks just to look around and stuff like that, but I have to say, I feel judged just as soon as I walk in that store. Like, I really do, you know? And then I went to Sephora, and, you know, the thing with Sephora is, it is what it is. I mean, it was nobody's fault in there, what I had to deal with, you know? Like, they were just doing what they were told. It was not their fault. Saks, that was a different story. I think they're just snooty up in there sometimes. Well, because I think Saks is on commission, and so I think when they think you're not somebody that's going to drop $1,000 on La Mer skincare, you know, like, they're just like, whatever. But I don't know. And then Anthropologie, and then I walked upstairs, and as I was walking upstairs, I saw my friend, and then I walked to Sephora, and then I went into Sephora. Oh, I looked through the men's cologne at Sephora too. That was it. I was like, okay, get out of here before you start spending a bunch of money. Okay, I'm back. I had to just look and see where I was at on my vlog because, or what I was talking about, because the last exit was closed because they were doing construction. So it's been like 10 minutes. So anyway, I was talking about having to get out of Sephora before I spent like a bunch of money. You know, the thing that's interesting about Saks, I will say this, is that there are always things at Saks that I want that are even affordable, you know, for me. And I probably would spend money. I mean, I buy most of my cologne there. Well, I think I bought my Chanel Blue at Sephora. Like my Creed I bought there and stuff like that. The thing is, I would probably spend more money there, but I always feel so like people are put out by me even being in there that it's like, I just don't even enjoy shopping there. And you would think like if somebody worked on commission, they might be a little bit friendlier because then it might, you know, they might raise sales for themselves or whatever if they had somebody that was going to come back time and time again. Oh, I know what I was saying today in my Peterisms video was you never know like who you're dealing with when you meet them, right? And even though like I look like a slob when I'm walking through, you know, a Saks, doesn't mean that I don't have the money to spend on something in there, and that if somebody was really engaging with me and I was like, oh, I really trust this person's opinion, or I really like this person, they're so nice, then I'm going to come to this person every time that, you know, I have to buy a gift, or every time because it's just the experience of coming in there, you know. I think anytime that we're spending money on something, it's a personal experience, whether it's, you know, getting our hair done, or whether it's, you know, buying coffee, or going to the gas station, or whatever it is, you know. So in the 10 minutes that I had coming here, I listened to Christmas music. So if you don't know, the Christmas music is up on Sirius Radio, if you have Sirius Radio. So channel 65 is, which is a Christian station, is called Holly. And right now I'm not listening to it, obviously, so I'm recording, but it's playing NSYNC's Merry Christmas. And then on channel 73 are Christmas standards, and it's playing Wayne Newton's White Christmas. And then on channel 70 is Rosemary Clooney. Oh, I love Rosemary Clooney. And she is singing Let It Snow. Do you know Rosemary Clooney? I think she was George Clooney's aunt. And wasn't she in, like, she was one of the sisters in White Christmas, or whatever, sisters. But anyway, so yeah, I'm listening to the holiday music already. I am in the holiday mood. I know people are like, oh my God, I cannot believe that you're celebrating or getting excited about Christmas before Thanksgiving. Why not? What's wrong with it? I don't care. I'm like so in the Christmas mood this year. Because I'm like, you know what's going to happen? Listen, Thanksgiving's going to come, and then it's going to be December, and then things are going to be like boom, 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 boom. I really want to enjoy the holiday season this year. I want to enjoy every minute of it. I want to watch the movies. I want to watch the TV shows. I want to, you know, on my review channel, review everything that I possibly can, and I really want to enjoy the whole holiday season, so. My mom and I, we used to put up our Christmas tree. I feel like we put it up early. I don't feel like we put it up ever before Thanksgiving, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one year we did or something. I do remember one year, there were like 1 or 2 Christmases. I think I was like in 4th or 5th grade, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, where like I very much became obsessed with, I think it was like on the verge of me like really not believing in Santa Claus, but like wanting to believe in Santa Claus. Whenever it was, I saw that Jacqueline. Well, no, that probably would have been later. Maybe, I don't know. But I was on the verge of like knowing, like I shared the story on here the other day about like I knew that there wasn't a Santa Claus because of seeing my mom that Christmas and stuff. But that probably was when I was like 8. So it would have been after that. I think I was really, really clinging onto this idea of a Santa Claus, that I really wanted to believe on a Santa Claus. You know what? So my dad bid on, like at an auction, he bid on this Santa Claus to do like a home visit. But like he won it, right? And so the Santa Claus came to our house, and I was really, really sick. I can remember I was on the couch in our living room. This was when my parents were separated. And I wonder if it wasn't after that, because it was really important for both of my parents that like to kind of really instill, like for me to believe in Santa Claus as long as I could. I think, you know, like with everything else that was going on in my life, you know, with the divorce and me being bullied at school, which I don't know that they really knew that much about that. I think they knew school wasn't easy for me. But with all of that, I think they wanted me to have something that I got excited about, and Christmas and Santa Claus was always something that I got very, very excited about. And it really had nothing to do with the presents. I know it sounds crazy, but it really didn't. It had more to do with like this idea of Santa Claus that lived at the North Pole, and it was very magical and all that kind of stuff. And so I remember my dad got this Santa Claus, and the Santa Claus came to my house, and like he came in, and it was a very real looking Santa Claus. My dad still tells the story. And he like sat down with me and like asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I remember when he left, I like ran outside, and he had like a Jeep Wrangler or something. And I was like asking my dad, you know, like why he came. And my dad said something about like, the way that they got me to continue to believe for years on end was that even though, like, that was how Santa Claus, you know, traveled, like, so that he could kind of, like, wouldn't get noticed, you know, like, in the like, airwaves and stuff like that. So, like, you know, he wouldn't fly down here on a sled because, of course, they would notice that. So he took normal transportation. But, like, on Christmas Eve, the way that he moved from house to house to house was, like, even if you didn't have a fireplace, was, like, microwave waves. That you could go in and out of each other's, you know, that's how my dad explained it to me. But I think that, like, they knew that I didn't have a lot of, like, hope and things or something. I don't know. Maybe I was a real sad kid. I've never really asked my dad that, you know? I know they worried about me not having a lot of friends or a lot of people, like, they would say that, you know, like, I can remember that being a conversation that I would kind of overhear and stuff like that. I saw this thing on Twitter today, and it was like, somebody's kid had a birthday party and, like, none of the invited friends came or something like that. And I never had that experience, but I did have experiences, like, with my birthday parties, like, one year, like, at least the parents were nice enough to RSVP and say that they couldn't come. And so I knew going into the birthday party that, like, let's say if I invited, like, 10 kids, that I knew it was going to only be, like, 3. And that was the last year I ever had a birthday party. Like, I didn't do it after that. I kind of knew stuff from, like, an early age. I was kind of like, no. And then after that, like, and I think my dad and my mom were like, do you want to have a birthday party? And I was like, and so my dad was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't care. But I don't want to have a birthday party. And, so that was when I started, like, my dad and I would go to, like, Kings Island, which is this amusement park in Cincinnati. We would go, and, like, sometimes I would take a friend, but sometimes I remember just going with my dad for my birthday. I did a lot of things just by myself. I just didn't, you know. And even to this day, like, I don't like a lot of attention for my birthday. I just don't like tons and tons of attention, you know, around it. But I remember this one Christmas, and I kind of think it was the last Christmas that I believed in. I think I didn't really believe in Santa Claus, but, like, I wanted to believe so bad. And we had, like, this TV room that was, like, our guest bedroom. And I kind of, like, camped out there. And this was, like, after Christmas, like, after, like, I had gone back to school. And I started faking being sick. And, like, I was being bullied really hard. And I just became kind of obsessed with watching Christmas movies. And I think, like, one day I, like, said to my mom, like, one day I was sick. Well, my entire school experience, I was, like, if you could be sick 12 days a semester or whatever, I was sick 12 days a semester. I mean, I was sick the amount of days you could be sick, always. And, my parents just didn't really fight it a whole lot, honestly. And I remember, like, the first day, like, because, like, over Christmas break, I had, like, made that room into, like, this Christmas room, and I had, like, all of my, you know, all of my Betamax tapes out with Miracle on 34th Street and all these things I had recorded off the TV and all of my favorite Christmas cartoons, and, you know, and I would just watch them, like, over. I put, you know, Rudolph in, and then I put Miracle on 34th Street, and I was, like, in my Christmas pajamas, and I would have all my Christmas candy around me and all my Christmas stuffed animals, and I just was, like, sitting there. like in this room, and it was like this, I had my little Christmas tree in there, you know, and like it was like my Christmas dungeons kind of. And I remember like I did that, and then like the next day I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm really sick, I can't go to school, you know. And she was like, well, we need to go to the doctor. Oh, no, you know, we don't need to go to the doctor, but I'm really sick. And I kind of like, I didn't want Christmas to end, I think. It's weird, I haven't really thought about that in a long time, you know. Like these things that impact us as kids, like at some point you stop kind of talking about it or thinking about it. I haven't really thought about that stuff in a really, really long time. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if I was necessarily, they already have their wreath out. I don't know if I was necessarily a weird kid. I was just a lonely kid. I was just an isolated, lonely kid, you know? I still love the holidays because of that. They just seem magical to me, you know? And then it's weird because, you know, like when I told the story the other day about my mom and then putting a car in the ditch, and that was like the year that I kind of knew there was no Santa Claus. You know what? That might be the same year. That might have been the same year. But I'm telling you, to like, I said this in a video of mine today, jokingly, but it was the truth. I mean, until my mother passed away, like right before that last Christmas, I mean, she would swear like presents were not from her. Like, I would say, oh, thanks, Mom, you know, she'd like a bottle of cologne or what. She'd be like, oh, I have no idea, like, not all of them, but some of them, you know, she would be like, I have no idea where that came from, that must be from Santa. And I'd be like, Mom, and she'd be like, I mean, seriously, that must be from Santa. I'd be like, okay, Mom. But, it was very sweet. And then, you know, I got sober. December 17th is my sobriety date. And that whole, like, I have a story written about it. That whole day, is my phone just going off? That whole day was kind of like started and it ended with Charlie Brown's Christmas. And, like, I remember, getting up that day, and like, at that point, you know, I would get up and I would drink in the morning, usually like a 40, and then I would like, or I would like, a lot of times I would mix vodka if I was like really hungover and I was like feeling like I was gonna be sick. My eye is itching like crazy, I don't know why. I would mix like half a glass of vodka with like Pepto-Bismol. And, so, but a lot of times I drank 40s. They were cheap and I really liked them. I drank like Old English, a Colt 45. There was another one I drank too. I can't ever remember what the name of it was, but it was my favorite. And they only had it at this liquor store down the street from me. It was called like, it was right next to this Kip's pub place. But, and I loved those 40-ounce Fosters and those 40-ounce Sapporos. I loved those too. Because they were really so strong, and I would get like with 40s, I would get like buzzed really quick. But anyway, I would drink like a 40, and then like I would, you know, smoke a joint. I loved smoking joints. And I would take like 2 Vicodin. And that was kind of how I started my day. And then I would like take a shower, like I would do all that. Well, typically I would like take 2 Vicodin and drink a 40. Sometimes I would drink while I was in the shower. I love to drink while I was in the shower. And then I would get out, and that was kind of like, and this, we're talking like starting my day at like 3 or 4 or 5. And then I would get out and I would sit on the couch and I would smoke a joint while I was watching like something. And at that time, since it was Christmas time, it was always like Christmas movies. And I was watching, I remember that day I was watching Charlie Brown's Christmas. And like throughout that whole day, that like catching snowflakes, you know, on your tongue thing that happens at the beginning of it when they're like skating. Like at the end of the day, when I went to my friend Jack's house, who had been my boyfriend, Jack. He wasn't my boyfriend at the time, but he's since passed. Oh, Jack. And, but I went to his house that night, And he like taken my keys from me and stuff, and then like I waited till he like went to sleep, and I went in and I got my keys, and I stole like all of these like tapes from him. I remember I took a Tori Amos tape. I don't even like Tori Amos. And then I like put all this beer that he had in his fridge in my pockets of my coat and stuff. But like as I was walking outside, it was like snowing, and like he lived in like downtown, and like the street lamps were like shining on the street, and I like slid and I like fell on my ass. And I remember I sat there and I was like trying to catch snowflakes on my tongue. It's weird to think that was 25 years ago. Like, I can't even explain what happens, but like, I don't even know how to, like, do you ever feel ways that you don't know how to put words to? Like, I don't even know how to put words necessarily to how I feel about then to now, and that, like, every experience that I've had, and, you know, like, how much my sobriety has changed my life. You know, I think to some degree it's like, oh, I've been sober this amount of time or whatever, but it's like, what that really means, like what it really, really means, you know? I think is, as you know, like I said on my Peterson's video today, I said I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I never, if you had asked me at that time, you know, all I can share is my experience. So I don't know for other people that are drug addicts and alcoholics, but if you had asked me at that time, like, what is your greatest fear? Not after I got sober, because my greatest fear after I got sober and was kind of focused. Oh my God, they had a blow up turkey in their front yard. My biggest fear was death after I got sober. But before that, if you had asked me my biggest fear, or if you had asked me, you know, like, you know, what I thought of my life or whatever, my biggest fear would definitely have been that I didn't know what I was doing with my life. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do next. Like, I was, you know, probably a year away from graduating, barely, the college degree. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I would have. I mean, I was close to graduating, you know, or I was going to fail out, and then I don't know what I would have done. And I never really had any kind of legit job. I was unhireable. My dad said that to me at towards the end. We got into some huge fight. I'll never forget, he like pointed his face, he was like, got right in my face, and he was like, you are unhireable. He was like, you have like no like marketable skills, whatever. He was like, he goes, what do you think you're gonna do with your life? And I think that was like one of my biggest fears, was like, I had no idea what I was gonna do with my life. None whatsoever. I was terrified. I was really, really terrified, you know? And I think that was one of the things that using allowed, is it just kept me stuck from one day to the next, one day to the next, one day to the next, you know? And I think I was really scared. I know I was really scared of A, growing up, and B, being responsible, because I didn't know how to, and I didn't know what that looked like. And I really do believe that I really believe that I thought in my heart of hearts that I could stop whenever I wanted. That, like, you know, I knew that the drinking and the drugging was a problem. I would never have admitted that to anybody, but I knew that it was. But I think I truly believed that I could stop, even though I had tried many times on my own to stop and I couldn't stop. I think I truly believed in my heart of hearts that I could stop on my own. This road feels like it's going on and on and on tonight. Like, I feel like by now I'm usually at the gas station. the end of this, but I'm not there yet. I don't know what's going on. But I didn't turn anywhere, so... yeah, I was scared to death of living, and I was scared to death of dying, and I was just kind of existing. You know, I didn't really care if I lived, and I didn't really care if I died, and that was the truth. You know, one of the scariest things that was ever said to me was, you know, when I got in treatment, my sponsor, who had saved my life, because she told me what I needed to hear, you know, and not what I wanted to hear. You know, she looked at me and she said something to me one day about being suicidal, and I said, I'm not suicidal. I was like adamant that I wasn't suicidal, you know. I'd never had that feeling. I never felt that way, whatever. And she was like, but aren't you slowly killing yourself with what you're doing to yourself? I really had never looked at it that way before. But I was. I had no regard for my life whatsoever. You know? I was absolutely just careless about my life. And I look back on that, and I think, like, compared to who I am today, like, I'm so completely different, you know? I don't even, like, know if I could write down, like, if I could sit down and write, like, the things that have impacted me the most in the 25 years, well, almost 24 years and, you know, 10 months, coming up on 11 months. I don't know if I could, like, write down the things that impacted me the most, the things that changed me the most, the things that made me who I am, you know, the people that I've met. Definitely the people that I've met in my sobriety had a huge impact on who I am today. Because when I look at recovery, I really look at it, recovery is the people. It's their stories, it's their experiences, you know? But it's little things that people said to me. And you know, like, as sad as this is, I have to grant much of my success. I have to grant much of my success to many of the people out there that I know that didn't make it. Because I think, like, being part of their journey and seeing how hard they struggled and that they didn't make it made me even more fearful of what would happen if I didn't go back out, if I went back out there, you know? So it wasn't always, it was at the end. So it wasn't always the wisest people, the people that got it the most, you know? It wasn't always them that taught me everything and got me where I'm at today. Some of the people that I learned the most from are the people that aren't here today, or didn't make it, or out there using right now, you know? And some of them, in all honesty, successfully. Like, I've known a lot of people that have gone back out and realized that they didn't think they were addicts or alcoholics, you know? And so they would go back out and they would try some controlled drinking or some controlled using, and it worked for them. But that's not my reality. That would not be the case with me. I think that's been a hard reality for me to know, you know, that, I don't know, it's like, this is weird coming, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, you've been sober for a quarter of a century almost. And if you've watched my vlogs for, you know, more than a year, what you'll know is that this last countdown to my sobriety is always really hard for me. This, you know, month leading to my sobriety birthday is sometimes very hard for me because I remember where I was at that time, you know. Thanksgiving was hard for me. I remember I didn't get invited to anybody's Thanksgiving that year. My dad called me and he said, I just need you to know that you're not invited to either Thanksgiving this year. I'd made an ass of myself. I think it was the year before. And I think it was my mom or my aunt had my dad call me. And I remember, you know, like, the night before Thanksgiving is a big partying night, big drinking night. You know, a lot of people from college come home and things like that. A lot of people go out that night. Which I think is so funny. Like, I haven't done that in forever. But anyway. And, so I remember I went out the night before Thanksgiving and got completely wasted. Don't remember anything else. But then I remember Thanksgiving Day, like, calling all my friends. Well, all of my friends partied, but they didn't any of them party the way that I did. And they all had family stuff to do that day. And so they were like, well, why don't you come down later and we're gonna go out later tonight and whatever. And you know, we'll bring you food, because I was like, I have no Thanksgiving. They're like, you don't have any Thanksgiving? I was like, no, I have no Thanksgiving this year. Of my own doing, mind you. But I was so good at getting people to feel bad for me. So I remember I went down to my friend's house and they brought like all this food home. And really all I wanted was just their alcohol. And I think we went out. And then after that, I remember driving home and I was going through White Castle. And I remember this woman gave me I think that was the night going into Thanksgiving, maybe. Because I got this, I was crying. I was like, I'm not invited to my family's for Thanksgiving. And she gave me all the food for free. I don't really remember what night it was. I was a nasty person back then, though. You know, I was like a nasty, like, F you, I don't really care. You can take your Thanksgiving and shove it up your ass. I don't really want to go. I had no problem back in the day hanging up on people. We don't really, I don't think that hanging up on people has the same emphasis today when we have cell phones instead of rotary phones. You know, there was something about just like banging a phone down on somebody, you know. But I used to do that a lot. I used to like to hang up on people. My dad used to say to me, if you hang up on me, I will not be answering the phone again. He would always say that to me. That's kind of been a lost talent, hasn't it? Hanging up on people. I kind of forgot all about that. I would hang up on my mom, and then she would call me back. And I would say to her, Mother, like, if you keep on going on about this, and that's sober, I would do this. I'd be like, if you keep on going on and on, Mom, I just cannot, because she would call me up complaining about something. I'd be like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot listen to this. I'd be like, Mom, and then, Mom, I'm gonna hang up if you keep on talking about this. I don't want to hear about this, because she would be, you know, complaining about my Aunt Kathy or something. Mom, if you keep on talking about this, I'm gonna hang up the phone. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Okay, Mom, I'm about to hang up the phone. Oh, you would never hang up on your mother. I'm just telling you, Mom, if you keep on talking about this, I'm gonna hang up the phone. Well, and then she did this, and then I would hang it up. And then she would she would literally call me right back. Because, of course, I felt bad. I would answer the phone. Did you just hang up on your mother? I told you I was going to you hung up on your mother. Then it was all about hanging up on my mother. You know what I mean? You don't ever hang up on your mother. Anyway, like I said, your Aunt Kathy, and I should go into this whole thing again. I'd be like, ah! Now our holidays are so boring, you know. It's like, it's Caroline and I, and then we go over to, you know, my in-laws, and that's just one big party. That's a lot of fun, but it's hard. What you know, like this year it feels a little bit more, I don't know why, it feels a little bit more celebratory to me, a little bit more peaceful and serene, maybe, kind of looking at the last 25, it feels to me more this year, going into my sobriety birthday, it feels more to me like they need to take down their Halloween cemetery over there. Halloween's over. It's Christmas. It feels a little bit more to me like celebrating the last 25 years than it does focusing on, and I know I just said the opposite, but in sitting here thinking about it, in my heart, it feels a little bit more like I'm celebrating the last 25 years of being sober than it does looking at the years that I used. You know, and the craziness is, I've now been sober for more than half my life. And I used for 12 years of my life. I started using when I was 12, or 10 years of my life. I started using when I was 12, and I got sober when I was 22 and a half. So I've been sober for longer than, like, twice as long as I used. And I don't know, but you know, like, I look at this interconnectivity of like all of the things that are in my life that are a direct result of me being sober today. That things in my life that I would never have had I not gotten sober. Like, it's crazy to me, you know, that like just random things. Whenever I drive by, okay, it's like there's just a cemetery out here. It's like this rambling country cemetery. It's very pretty, actually. But whenever I drive by cemeteries, like late at night out in the middle of the country, I always kind of look and I'm like, what would you do, Peter, if there was just like some like wispy ghost standing next to a gravestone? I would probably freak out. So yeah. But I always kind of do this. I don't know if it's like a evaluation in my head. I wouldn't say it's an evaluation. I would say it's kind of like a I go back in my head and I relive that time, you know? It was a desperate, desolate, it wasn't a pretty time of my life at all. Crazy to me, you know, like, I don't know why this is crazy to me when I have friends of mine that, you know, are not alcoholics and addicts, and my nose is like running, and they choose to just not drink or do drugs or whatever, right? But like, it's so crazy to me that for almost 25 years, I haven't had any alcohol in my system. With maybe, let's say in 25 years, 2 to 3 accidents, maybe, in 25 years. And I've shared those stories on here, you know, where like, I'll order a Diet Coke and somebody brings me like a rum and Coke instead, and then like I spit it out across the table. Like that happened at the Connection in Louisville one time. You know, there's been like I think there's only been like 2 incidences of that happening. But I haven't had that. I have had no drugs in my system. No over-the-counter drugs in my system, because I just, other than like, you know, Aleve and Motrin and things like that, I just don't. I've had no mood-altering substances in my system in 25 years. It's crazy. Which to a lot of people probably doesn't seem like anything, but man, I would put anything in my body. I was destroying my body back in the day, you know? I really today don't know anything that I would ever allow to come in the way of my sobriety today. Nothing. You know, but I think that that's like the thing that people sometimes don't understand too, that like aren't in sobriety. Like, and I don't, you know, I mean, I love when people ask this question. I love when people that are not in sobriety ask questions about sobriety, because you're just wanting to educate yourselves. And the thing is that the reality is there's not anybody out there today that isn't affected by addiction in some way or another, whether it's a neighbor, whether it's, you know, this, whether it's that. And so I'm open to those questions. But like, one of the reasons why I go to meetings, one of the reasons why, you know, like I, you know, continue to read the text and have a sponsor and have friends of mine that are sobriety, and then I have a recovery network around me and things like that, is because my being an addict and an alcoholic goes much deeper than me just liking drugs and alcohol. That's just where it starts, and it's really not about the drug or the drink. And anybody that knows anything about addiction or recovery, knows that. Whether you believe in a 12-step program or not, you know that, right? So you have to continue to do things to take care of yourself. God, my nose is like running and driving me crazy. You have to continue to take your medicine, and for a person in sobriety, the medicine is going to meetings and having a sponsor and, reading the texts, or being involved in, some kind of spiritual outlet like a church or something like that, or a temple, or doing something like that. But the reality is that probably learning to knit is not going to take away your wanting to drink every night. It's probably just not going to replace that, So it's scary to me when, I wouldn't say scary, I just feel, because I don't stand in the way of other people's journeys, but it just worries me for people, that, I know people like in my personal life that they're like, I know that you get a lot out of 12-step programs, but it's just not for me. And yet they continue to struggle time and time again, and they won't really give it a try. And I'm like, have you ever thought about just trying it? Because what you're doing isn't working. I'm a big believer that if what you're doing it's reality therapy, actually, is what you're doing isn't working, try something different. And I'm a big believer in that, Anyway. Oh my God, you guys, somebody in our neighborhood, they sent out this massive email, our management company. So somebody by the front of our neighborhood, our neighborhood's really small, their house got broken into during the day while they were gone. And it was weird how it happened. But anyway, so we have a neighborhood watch, okay? Now, if you knew, my neighborhood board and, my homeowners association board and stuff like that, they're very serious about stuff, right? So today, they literally were walking door to door, asking people's schedules, asking when people were going to be there and they weren't going to be there and stuff like that. I love that they're doing that, but I just was like, oh my God, this is crazy. They were so upset that this has happened. They have the management company sent out this email, and they've managed our neighborhood since I've lived there, so it's been over 10 years. They've never once had a break-in in over 10 years. And they were they felt really bad. And so now we have patrolmen that are going to drive through the neighborhood. It won't take long because the neighborhood's so small, throughout the middle of the night and early evening. And then there's somebody that lives in our neighborhood that's a policeman, and he is going to have some of his friends come through there during the day and during the night. And then there's another person that lives in our neighborhood that's a patrol person, just does patrol, and is going to have a patrol car come through, not a police officer, but a security patrol kind of thing. Anyway, they sent us this email of all of these things that are going to happen, and it's crazy. But anyway, and they didn't get anything from this, the condo that was robbed either. There was a break-in, but nothing was taken. It's just interesting to me, but I think people would be real depressed if they came into our house and broke in, because we literally have 2 TVs that they could get at Walmart for less than, our TVs are old and not valuable, and I don't even know if our DVD players work, and we have no jewelry. So there's really nothing of value at our house. I don't know what they would be getting at our house. Whatever they take, I hope they don't bring back, because we got so much shit we don't need. But it is kind of scary, The thing that's scary about it is that our neighborhood is so busy throughout the day. There's always, delivery trucks, and, maybe that's how it happened, I don't know. There's always delivery trucks and people, working in the yards. Our lawn care service, literally, I feel they come, once a week and mow the lawns. Is it once a week or once every other? I think it's once a week. And mow the lawns, but it literally feels like they're there all the time. And because they come and they prune trees, and then there's construction that's always going on in the neighborhood. They're always doing some kind of construction in the neighborhood, and so it seems pretty busy in there. And there's only 40 or 60 condos. I don't even think there's that many condos, honestly. It's a real small neighborhood. So, and partly gated too, which is why I don't understand how that happened. But my neighbor told me, and she was like, did you hear that? I was like getting out of my car today. She's like, did you hear that there was a break-in? I said, no. And she's like, well, they sent out an email. And I was like, oh, I'll go check it out in just a second. So she was telling me all about the email. And she's in this book club, and it's like all these older ladies in the neighborhood. And so, because they were like sending out these tests for like our alarms and stuff for our condos, and like running these tests or something. Apparently, like the alarm company's gonna come out and talking to everybody. But anyway, so her book club is like across the street and like 4 condos down. Like you can literally see it from like where we stand. And she was like, yeah, I have book club tonight. And she like joined this book club so she'd get to know the neighbors and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's fun, that's sweet. And she was like, yeah, so-and-so, do you know her? And she pointed like across the street, one to the left. And I was like, I've met her a couple times, but I don't really know her. And she was like, well, I have to pick her up for book club tonight. And I said, pick her up for book club? She goes, she's like 89. And she's like, yeah, she goes, she's afraid of going on her own since the break-ins. And I go, isn't the book club right over there? She goes, I know. She goes, but she can't walk down there. So she goes, I'm going to pick her up for book club. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I kind of love my neighborhood. It used to drive me crazy, but I kind of love it now. All right, listen, you guys, I'm going to get off here now and listen to a little bit more of the Iceman book. And I hope you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. Unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. I'm going to come up with another ending. Today is a good day. You're going to have a good day today. We need to have positive affirmations. If this is the end of the night, you're going to get a good night's sleep. Remember good things. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Do something today that will change the course of your life positively. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, stay calm. Enjoy peace and serenity. If nobody else has told you this today, this part I am keeping. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you believe that in your heart and soul. Every single day you look at yourself in the mirror and you say to yourself, you are valuable, you are important. Do any of you out there do it? Do any of you do that? Like look in the mirror and actually say that to yourself? It really, it does make a difference, but it takes some time of doing it to really believe it. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how much they mean to you and how much they impact your life. I appreciate you guys watching my vlogs every single day. It really means a lot to me and you impact my life. I love you guys and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!